And so I sit down and she's like, so you're actually going to go to the Olympics with us? And I was like, what? And then I think I had something else to say, but I'm forgetting. Did that answer your question?
It answered my question perfectly.
Also, Emma was like, don't tell anybody. I'm going to tell people tomorrow. The elevator door opens on our floor and I see Soph and Trent and I'm like crying. And they're like, oh no, what's wrong? I'm like, what do I say? Like, what do I do? And
Welcome back to Friendlies, everybody. I'm your host, Sam Mewis, and today I'm joined by a defender who has worked her way into the hearts of fans from literally coast to coast. She plays with such fearlessness and passion. It's no wonder she becomes a leader on every roster she joins. She won the NWSL Shield and championship with the Orlando Pride and took home gold with the U.S. Women's National Team at the 2024 Paris Olympics. She actually recently got her first international goal while wearing the captain's armband for the U.S. Women's National Team, something that made her new fans at Angel City in LA very, very happy. Please welcome a very new Angelino, Emily Sams. Emily Sams, welcome to the show.
thank you. That was so sweet. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you liked it. It was made with so much love. Thank you for joining us. This episode of Friendlies is brought to you by Verizon, a proud supporter of the global game and the players who inspire us on and off the pitch. As an official sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026, Verizon is honored to help share the stories of the world's top players, including the incredible women who are changing the game at every level. Stay tuned for more on how Verizon can get you connected to the game we love. I know you've just had like this big move across the country. I have so many questions, but I want to start off with your road trip. I know that you and your husband made the drive from Orlando to LA with your two cats, and along the way you found two more cats.
Yeah, okay, so yes, that's mostly accurate. So I actually flew to LA because they had like optional training before the national team camp. So I wanted to take advantage of that and get acclimated a little sooner. But my husband drove and his stepbrother came. Yeah, I know. His stepbrother came and flew out and helped him drive. And then, so yeah, long short, my sister just moved apartments and she couldn't take her two cats to the new apartment. And so then we were like, I guess we can take the cats. So we were trying to figure out a way we could fly, but it's like complicated. And we had the car to drive across. So my husband just picked up her cats along the way and then drove from Orlando to like a city in Alabama and then all the way across to LA.
Okay, so I oversimplified the story a little bit. I'm also like thinking of hearing that your husband did this. Like, what a hero. It immediately reminded me of this one time my husband was supposed to fly to Western New York to meet me and drive back to Boston with me. And he missed his flight because he went out the night before.
And so did he drive to New York?
No, I just drove home by myself.
No, it's so sad.
I know. So your husband's literally a hero. Okay, back to the cats really quickly. So now you have 4 cats.
Yes, 4 cats. Yeah.
The only other like real reference for cats that I have is Becky Sauerbrunn. And now I'm kind of like, is this like a defender thing, do you think? Like, are defenders cat people?
I was going to say, like, I grew up with like having cats kind of here and there, but like I'm a dog person. My husband loves cats. And so it kind of just like, yeah, I think he's the one we can thank for the 4 cats.
Okay, your husband is making like a surprise appearance in this episode.
Yeah.
Sounds incredible. I do want to get into your move to Angel City in just a few minutes, but first I actually want to rewind in case some of our listeners aren't familiar with your whole story yet. You were born in Boise, Idaho, but you grew up in Florida where you had standout careers, both in high school and in college where you went to Florida State. You decided to go pro early in 2022, but at the time it was already, I think, like midway through the NWSL season, so you played briefly for a team in Louisville, and then you found yourself in Sweden. And I want to hear a little bit more about the journey that led to you deciding to go play in Sweden.
The NWSL still had the draft at that time, and so I had planned in 2022, that would be my 6th season, because I had some injuries in college. And so, yeah, I came back the spring, and then Mark Krikorian, the coach at the time, like, right, it was like April 2nd, actually, because I was like, is this April Fool's? He, like, comes in and he's like, hey, so I'm resigning. And I was like, no, like I wanted to play for him for one more season. That's why I stayed. So the draft had already passed. It was April. I like was trying to weigh all my options. And so I wanted to go pro, but there wasn't a mechanism for me to be able to join the league at that time. And so the NWSL actually signed me just the league, not a team, signed me. And then for 3.5 years and then loaned me out to Sweden. And then I did like the summer, the summer thing that college girls do. And so I was with Louisville for a little bit for that, and then also just trained with them for a little bit to kind of get a feel of the league, and then was waiting to like see if I could get in the league or not. And then they were like, no, we'll just sign you and loan you out. So then I got loaned out to Sweden, knowing I was only going to be there for 5 months, just got some good training and played a couple games, and then came back for the draft.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. We talk all the time about like the implications of no draft. And I feel like now it's more common for players to kind of have to carve out their own path. But at this time for you, this sounds like such a unique and like kind of crazy situation. How do you think that needing to kind of find a creative solution and do things a little bit differently kind of changed your mindset about your career as a young player?
I had to make a decision. Like, was I gonna, continue to play in college, or was I gonna like maybe do something a little bit more uncomfortable? And I wanted that pro experience like starting then. So I was like, yeah, let's go to Sweden. It's a great league. It lines up with the NWSL league. It was, of course, uncomfortable because I was in Europe, first time, being farther away from home. But yeah, no, it was a great experience. I did get a little bit homesick, like about 3 months in, but it was just like a great experience. I'm someone who like, yeah, I can just kind of take those things on and it doesn't weigh too much on me. And so I was just happy to be in like my first professional environment. It had like great facilities there, a great coach, like great girls. So I just enjoyed my 5 months and then came back.
I mean, honestly, what sounds like a really positive experience and sounds kind of like something that would give you confidence in the future to make another big decision and big move. You came back to the NWSL for the 2023 draft. You were selected 3rd overall by the Orlando Pride. And I feel like the Orlando Pride is like obviously one of the strongest teams in the league now. But just 3 years ago when you were getting drafted there, they were kind of struggling near the bottom of the table. They hadn't really had that switch flipped yet. So after you'd worked so hard and waited patiently to be a part of the NWSL, how did you feel about getting drafted to the Pride?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. And I like told Seb and Giles this because they were there that weekend, and we like went and got a coffee before the draft just so we could get to know each other, because it was pretty apparent that I was going to go to Orlando.
And those are the coaches?
The coaches, yeah. Head coach and assistant coach. And like we also had Zoom meetings like while I was still in Sweden, because it was kind of becoming clear that Orlando was going to pick me. And I was like, yeah, I don't really want to stay in Florida. I'm like trying to like maneuver my way because you just, all I knew was the history of Orlando.
Yeah.
And also at Florida State, like we would scrimmage Orlando and we like would beat them. And so I'm like, I don't really want to be drafted to a team that like my college team is beating. Obviously it turned out to be a great experience, and super grateful to them for drafting me, of course. But in that moment I was like, please, no, I don't want to go. And then also, as I said, me and Seb and Giles had like, we sat down for a coffee before the draft and like just got to know each other a little bit better. And I was like, I felt so much better after that conversation, and like super grateful to them that they took the time to do that, because I got to know them, got to talk about soccer a little bit, also just life. And I felt like much more comfortable after that.
Well, I love hearing that. I mean, not to bring up Western New York again, you're like, why does this girl keep talking about Western New York? But I got drafted in 2015 to Western New York, who, we didn't have a great year that year, but what my experience there turned into was having this kind of Cinderella season and winning the championship in 2016, just a year later. And I feel like as I was kind of learning more about your story, that kind of resonated with me of like your year and I know in 2023, that's when the Pride started to kind of change the narrative around the team. But then in 2024, the club was like really reborn, and it really reminded me of my own experience. You guys went on a then record unbeaten streak. You won the Shield. You won the championship. And it's just such a cool story to know that you were such a crucial part of building that club into what it is now. So looking back, what do you think it was about the energy of that team in those years when you arrived that really changed everything?
Yeah, I think from the time that I got there, that was also, I think Seb took over like halfway through the year prior, I think, if I have that correct. And so I think his messaging for the 6 months before I was there, and then also when in the 2023 season, was like, yeah, we're like the underdogs. Like we have to do the work to change the narrative here. And so I think we all kind of grabbed onto that and like kind of fed off of that underdog mentality. Like that for me, fires me up. Like that was easy for me to like get behind. And then we did fall short in the 2023 season. Then I think we took that same energy going into the 2024 season. And so I think that's part of it. I also think like then Barbara Banda came into the team. And yeah, we just had like an incredible like season. I don't even have words to describe it because it all just like everything seemed to go our way and it was great.
I know the feeling. It comes along every so often when you're just like, nothing can go wrong for us. This is literally the best thing ever. I feel like that year was a massive year for you individually as well. Obviously, you really started to emerge as a leader, which I feel like for such a young player is becoming such a through line for your story, your leadership ability. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in this conversation. But 2024, you were also named to the NWSL Team of the Month 3 times. You made the year-end Best 11 and you were voted NWSL Defender of the Year. In 2024, playing that season with Orlando, playing those games, what do you think impacted you and like your personal performance in the games?
I will attribute a lot of it to like my relationships off the field. Like I think really that made such a big difference to me. I think we had such like a special group and like everyone was just like genuinely nice to each other, rooting for each other. Even like we had players who I think the hardest part is when you kind of start to figure out who the starting 11 and 2 or 3 subs are going to be. And then there's like the people who are trying to get into that starting 11. I think we had 2 players specifically in the group of players that weren't playing as much that were like about to retire at the end of that season. And so they were like so good at like keeping the vibes high in that group, like having fun. They were like, this freaking sucks, but like we're done after this year. So like, let's just make it fun. And that was also part of their personality to like just bring that energy. And so I think that's helped. And so I think just having that energy throughout the whole year was just super helpful. I also had like some really good mentors off the field that like helped me grow as a person. And so I think I just had like a really good balance of on the field and off the field life.
That's so key. I mean, the other thing I haven't mentioned much yet about 2024, and one of the real signs that this was your breakout year was that you got your first call up to the national team from Emma Hayes. And it was to go to the Olympics. You were named as an alternate for the Paris Games, despite not even having made your debut for the national team yet. Can you just walk us through that experience of being told that you were going to the Olympics?
Yeah, it's actually, this story's so funny. I don't think many people know this, but so yeah, I got called up as just a training player for the week leading up to the Olympics. And then I got a text saying like, hey, Emma wants to have a quick meeting with you. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think was supposed to go home like the next day. And so I'm like, maybe it's just like some feedback from how the week went. Like I'm probably going to be a busy day tomorrow. So like, let's just have the meeting now with Emma to like get some feedback. And so I sit down and she's like, you know, you've done well. And so you're actually going to go to the Olympics with us. And I was like, what? Like I started crying. Actually, no, I held it together. I was like, thank you so much. This is insane. I also like had only packed for the week. And so I had like only like, 7 pairs of underwear. I'm like, I'm going to be gone for 6 weeks. I need more like of everything. Only have my little carry-on bag. So I just like, my mind was just going. I was so grateful. And then I was like, thank you so much. I walked away and I hugged Laura, who's like the operations, and I just started sobbing. And I hugged her and she was like, okay, go call your family, like go do what you need to do, and then we're like gonna get you settled for like the trip to Paris. And so then I'm like sick. So then I started crying more in the elevator, like trying to get to my room so I can call my husband. And then I'm like, okay. Oh, also, Emma was like, don't tell anybody. I'm going to tell people tomorrow, the team tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to hold together. I'm like, let me just get to my room. So all the players are on the same floor in the hotel. And I'm like, I just need to keep my head down. Like, hopefully I don't see anyone. So the elevator door opens on our floor and I see Soph and Trent and I'm like crying. And they're like, oh no, what's wrong? I'm like, what do I say? Like, what do I do? And so then I just like told them because I have to explain why I'm crying. And so then I was like freaking out. I'm like, are they going to tell everyone? Like, Emma just told me not to tell the team. But no, they were super chill, of course. And they said congrats and everything. But yeah, then the next thing I know, I'm on the plane to France and I'm like, this is insane.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. Wait, you said that you you weren't really like packed for the whole trip. Did you have your passport?
No, I didn't have my passport. So I like literally told my husband, I'm like, okay, we need to FaceTime right now. And I need to tell you what I need packed and my passport, and he like overnighted it. It was like $500
Oh my God.
to overnight my big suitcase with my passport. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like it was a very pleasant surprise to get selected as an alternate to go to the Olympics. What did you learn from the experience of being an alternate?
Well, for one, I was on the roster for 2 games. And so I think just constantly making sure that I was ready in the off chance that I would need to step in. Like, obviously, Emma didn't know me very well as a player at that time, but I think just like constantly being ready, because just like I wasn't sure that I was going to the Olympics in the first place, I also wasn't going to be sure if I was going to be needed in the games. So definitely just staying ready the whole time, and also like knowing that it probably wasn't likely for me to play. I needed to make sure that I was like helping the team prepare in any way that they needed. And so yeah, obviously being new, I was trying to learn my way and figure out how to, adjust to the environment, but also prioritizing like the team's needs for sure to get them ready for the games coming up.
I'm so struck again by like the similarities at this point in our careers. And obviously mine was like a long time ago, but I was an alternate at the 2016 Olympics and we didn't win a gold medal at that Olympics, but I just felt like I learned so much from having to play that role. And it actually really served me as I move forward in my career, because I felt like I learned the importance of like in the national team environment, you do have to be really selfish and put yourself first so much of the time. But through being an alternate, I kind of learned how to play another role as well. And also how to consider the feelings of people who maybe weren't on the roster or were alternates or weren't playing that much. And so it was such an important and an invaluable experience for me, really.
Yeah. Sorry, can I ask you a question? I wonder if you felt
Please.
the same way. Like, I feel like it's been easy to see the value I add to the teams I'm on because I'm like playing. And so that's very obvious, but obviously I wasn't playing at all in this tournament. And so I was also had to learn how to like add value in other ways, which was kind of a struggle for me. So did you feel the same way?
I mean, yeah, I think especially being a young player that's part of a really established group, you're kind of like, what am I contributing here? And I think the only thing I knew I could do was be like the ultimate teammate. And like literally I like shagged balls in 2016, like for people to get extra reps shooting. And I know that sounds so like self-sacrificial and like that I'm trying to be a hero, but that genuinely felt like the thing I could do to help the team prepare. When you feel like you don't know what to contribute, you have to just find something. And luckily for me, it was like this thing that in the future, I think I turned back to be like, what does everybody else need?
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. And so hopefully I did that. I was also...
Well, I mean, you guys won.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was so incredible to watch. That team seemed so close-knit. And then after the tournament, you got your opportunity. You made your debut in October of 2024. Since then, you've been a regular part of Em Hayes' rosters. And most recently, Emily, you wore the captain's armband in a game. Emma has spoken at length about you as a leader, saying that you lead by example, you're competitive, thoughtful. Another big compliment that she said about you recently is that she said you remind her of Emily Sonnet, who, I don't know if you know this whole story, but Sonnet and I were alternates together in 2016. We learned a lot of our lessons about the national team together. She's a very close friend of mine. And I'm curious, who are some of the players that you're currently teammates with on the national team that you hope to emulate and, pick up some qualities that you've seen in them?
Starting with Emily Sonnet, like she had to wait a long time to get her starting role on the team. And so I think that just is a great example of, I think she was in and out of, different rosters, right, her whole career. And so I think just that, like, perseverance through the uncertainty, and you're never sure if you're going to be called in or not called in or whatever. And now she's, like, without a doubt, the number one center back. And so I think just definitely look to her as an example for that. And then I would say, Emily Fox is a fantastic player, like, love watching her play. But I would say she's one of my closest friends at camp. And I love how she's so humble and she's so like appreciative. Like the people who come and like take our plates away at meal, she's like, thank you every single time. Like even if we're mid conversation, she catches it and she's like, thank you. Like the people, all the hotel staff and everyone who like opens the door, she's like, thank you. Like I just really admire that quality in her.
Well, I feel like you're 2 for 2 on Emily's.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like such a great, like 2 perfect people to pick.
There's something about those Emilys, yeah. So actually, it's funny. Emily Sonnet is Emily 1, Fox is Emily 2, and I'm Emily 3.
Oh, I love that. And then wait, there's also Emma Sears, Emma Hayes. It's crazy.
Yeah. You know how they do like the initials on the practice plan? It gets a little crazy because we like all of us have no clue. We have to look for the little like SO or SA or SE. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy.
One, congratulations on all, your recent success with the national team. It's been so fun to watch and so well deserved as well. I do want to pivot back to club because in early 2026, it was announced that you'd be leaving the Orlando Pride to join Angel City. And I know that you were and are so close to your Pride teammates. Some of them went with you to the courthouse when you got married. I saw this really awesome picture of you guys like taking this like mock team photo with your husband, who again, star of the show tonight. I'm sure deciding to leave Orlando was challenging for you, but I guess I just want to hear a little bit about what you were looking for from the next stage of your career when you started having these conversations.
I do love my former teammates at Orlando and just all those memories. And also I just celebrated 2 years of that anniversary. So I was like going back through the pictures and like saw the videos of them like waiting for me in Dakota outside the courthouse. So yeah, very sweet. So many sweet memories. I was really just looking for, number one, like coach was super important to me. And so talking with Alex, I was immediately impressed about his game model and, what qualities he saw in me that was important to him. I think we were like very compatible with that. I just wanted to go somewhere where I could grow. Like I said, I've said previously, and definitely trying to make that World Cup roster. And so I really just wanted to make a move at this time. Yeah, do everything I can to push myself and keep growing my game to make that World Cup roster.
It sounds like you were considering all these amazing things. I definitely want to get into Angel City, and I'm really excited to talk to you about your time there so far and what you're excited for this season. But I think just one last question for Orlando. I feel like I want to give you the opportunity to talk about the fans there. I know how much they still adore you. So when the national team last played in Orlando in December, the stadium actually erupted in chants saying, "We want Sams." And this would be your last appearance in front of those fans as a Pride player. So is there anything you would want to say to the people back in Florida that supported you with the Pride?
Yeah, for sure. I would say I have so much like appreciation and like adoration for the fans there. I met so many awesome fans. I loved seeing the people who like I know where they were gonna sit. They had like the same seats, and they're like right. You just know where they're gonna be, and you can like wave to them. They have signs and paintings and like everything. They were super, super supportive. I also think like winning the championship and the Shield for them too was like a highlight of my career because they've, as we talked about before, the history of Orlando was a little bit rough. And so I think the fact that they've stuck through that and then we were able to bring the championship back to them was just super cool. And then I feel like I just have so many awesome moments. Like a group of fans like made me a hat that said like Sam's Club with like the actual Sam's Club logo. And they like all were wearing them one game and then they gave me one, like just like cool moments like that. So yeah, I have a lot of appreciation and respect for the fans that like stuck through with the team through thick and thin, and then that we were able to bring that championship back to them.
That is so special. And again, I have similar memories with this section from North Carolina, section 108, shout out. But the connection that you make with the fans over those years, especially when you win and just like knowing how much their support helps, I really love hearing that. Okay, now Angel City. This has been a long time coming. You already mentioned that early conversations with head coach Alex Straus were something that attracted you to this club. What else was kind of an early factor in your decision-making that really signaled to you Angel City was going to be the right place?
Definitely like the club, just how the club operates and what's important to the club. I would say at least I didn't know this in Orlando, but like I didn't know this about Angel City, but how invested they are in their players. Like they want to pay them the most money possible in marketing, in appearances, just in salary. Like they want to make this club the best in the league and best in the world. And so that really attracted me at the beginning. They want to set the standard for the league. So that definitely was very cool and attracted me here. And then, yeah, I think just that's all great. But I think the number one thing was just the soccer. And so I also, of course, was looking at their roster and who they brought in last year, who they were bringing in this year. And I feel like the moves they made and the pieces they were starting to put together, along with Alex's, reputation from Bayern. And I think all of that coming together, I think is just very exciting. And again, like I said earlier, like a little bit of that underdog mentality. I think Angel City has always had great players, but hasn't gotten the results for whatever reason. And so part of what excites me is to get those results and kind of change the narrative here as well.
I am so excited to hear that. I've been saying for a while now that I think Angel City finding more success on the field would be so good for the league. When I see owners be really invested and I see such a strong brand in a club, I'm like, it would signal to everybody else in the league that type of investment is what creates success. And so Angel City having success is just like kind of best for almost everybody. Yeah. So I'm really excited to hear you say that, it's kind of time for there to be a new era there, a new era of success on the field. What I'm really curious is Alexander Straus's influence on this change that we've seen over the offseason, acquiring new players. You've signed players like Ari Borges, yourself. What do you think is your coach's vision for the team this season?
Yeah, I think he wants to be possession oriented, of course. And I think just like that control, I think he's less worried about the opponents and more worried about ourselves and always keeping our standard up here, and that we're always in control. We want the ball. We want to possess the ball and just play like a football. Like his ideas and how he wants us to play when it comes off is like so fun to be a part of and so fun to watch. I think he's been huge in that, and also bringing in those players that can play that kind of football he wants. And so, yeah, I'm just super excited for the season to start, and so that we can show the fans in the league like what we've been working on this offseason or preseason.
When you change clubs and you change coaches, I think one of the big kind of transition moments for a player is going from a training session that you're used to, like, the rhythm of the warm up, into the type of drills, into when you play 11v11. What has that transition been like for you to adjust to a new coach's training style?
I've been loving the training so far. I think I was like hungry for a super competitive and like mentally, sorry, I'm blanking on the word, like mentally stimulating. Yeah, stimulating.
Oh my God,
yeah. Like mentally stimulating training. And like we're super big on being competitive here. Like we all argue and like fight about every single stupid drill because we want to win, and then we take like the winner's pick and like all of that stuff. So it's like silly, but I think that will contribute to our success on the field. The training's been great so far.
That's awesome to hear. I know that this is the club's first year without Kristen Press and Allie Riley, two players the team was really built around. From that original squad when Angel City came into the league, only 3 players remain, including captain Sarah Gorden. Sarah seems like, along with yourself, another really strong leader for this team. Can you talk to us a little bit about Sarah as this team's captain?
Yeah, I think coming in, obviously I knew that she was the captain in the previous years. And so definitely looked to her for like to help show me the ropes a little bit when I first got here. But you can just tell that everyone really respects her and that it's kind of like her team. Like I think everyone kind of, at least that's how it looks from the outside and how it was when I first got here. And so, yeah, she's great. She has a great personality. Like she's so much fun, but then will like put in the hardest tackle and like cover ground at like she's so fast.
Yeah.
And so it's been great getting to know her more and just see her leadership here.
That's amazing. I feel like there's a lot of exciting players part of Angel City's defensive unit. Some other really young players like Giselle Thompson and Savvy King. And then you also have some really exciting rookies that are joining, and also some other really exciting young players. Riley Tiernan was a finalist for Rookie of the Year last year. What do you make of the up-and-coming talent that you have that's a part of your club, and how does that make you really optimistic for the future of Angel City?
I think you said it. There's so many young, great players on this team, and I think one thing is not to let the youth like shy away from like their responsibility or like stepping up in those big moments in the games, because I'm like, I don't want that. Like you guys have all proven yourselves to be ballers, so like go out on the field and also just lead the team. Like, I don't like the excuse of like, oh, I'm young, I don't want to like lead or whatever. I'm like, no, you belong on the field and you belong as a leader on this field as well. Yeah, the more that success we can get and that they can just continue to showcase their skills, I think the more confidence, and then they'll be able to be the ones who are like leading the team even more in the future. And I think the future is just so bright on this team.
I mean, I completely agree. Just going through, some of these names that you guys have, hearing the excitement about the new head coach, and again, just knowing the kind of investment and opportunities you guys are getting behind the scenes, I feel really optimistic about Angel City, and I'm really, really excited. I just have a couple more questions for you, but I did read that you've already said, and you've only been here for this preseason so far, you've already said that this team feels like a family, and it's so cool to hear that. I think as a retired player, I try to talk about like what I miss the most from being part of a locker room, being part of a team. And it really is, it's like it's seeing them every day. And I think that to me is what made a team feel like a family, is just like the ever presence of having people around that you care about, that care about you. What does Angel City feel like a family to you?
I felt that, like, as I said earlier, I came in like 2 weeks before preseason started for the optional training. And I feel like just from the start, everyone was so friendly, like staff and players were so friendly. And I feel like the vibes were just so good, like always trying to have a good time. But then when it got down to training, like, the focus is there. And so I think, yeah, that's just like, it was so inviting and so welcoming for me. Like I didn't feel, as a new kid, you're kind of like trying to, I don't know, I always get a little bit maybe shy or nervous in those situations, but I didn't feel that way at all here. I felt like from the start, everyone was so welcoming, and yeah, vibes were just good from the start. And then as more players came in, I'm like, I like you guys already, and I've only been here for like a couple with the whole team for a couple days. Like it was really cool. So I think we've continued to build on that. And then we did like our, like team culture meeting while we were at our preseason trip just this last week. And we all talked about that, like togetherness. Like we don't have to be besties. Not everyone has to love each other, but like we all feel that sense of like, I got you, you got me. I'm going to work hard for you. And I know you're going to work hard for me. And so to feel that already is like very encouraging for the season.
That's amazing. I'm really happy for you. It sounds like such a great fit. I don't think you can get that feeling if you're not surrounded by like-minded people who want the same things as you. And so, it sounds really, really promising. Something else, and I loved hearing you talk about your relationship with the Orlando Pride fans, but you must be so excited that you're going to get to play at BMO. Obviously, you've played there as an opponent before, but now you're part of the home team. How excited are you to get to know these Angel City fans?
Yeah, I am so excited. I've heard so much from staff and from players about how great the fans are, how I know how loud it is, but from the other side. And so I'm just so excited for our first game at BMO. And yeah, to meet everybody. Like as I've said, everyone talks about the fans here and how it's the best in the league. And so I just can't wait to meet all of them and yeah, create some more special moments and hopefully win a lot of games for them.
So fun. Okay. My last question for you, Emily, and I think I just want to circle back to this idea of you as a leader. Like we said, you've been talked about by fans, by Emma Hayes as someone who can really step up and be a leader. And just a reminder, this is only your 4th year in the league. But when it comes to your team, be it teammates on the national team or now your new teammates on Angel City, what do you hope that you can offer them as a leader, a friend, and a fellow player?
Yeah, I would say first thing is I think a lot of communication from me on the field will be very helpful, especially being in the back line and being able to see the whole field. I think from maybe that was missing a little bit, just like that really big presence on the field. And so that is one of my goals for the season, is to like over communicate, like know the principles and the game model like 100% so that I can be able to communicate that. Yeah, with the national team, I feel like I've always had like Sonnet or Ene and Lindsay, to be the ones who are like those leaders. But in this last camp, as you mentioned, I looked at the roster beforehand and I was like, okay, I'm one of the players who's been with the team like the most under MPAs. And so I kind of figured I would have that leadership role. I didn't know I was going to be captain or not, but so I took that and I was like trying to communicate to everybody, over communicating the tactics because there are so much to learn for new players. And also another great example of that is Sonnet, who just talks the entire game. And so my first cap, I was playing with Sonnet and I was like, wow, this is so much easier to have someone who's
have no questions.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that was very helpful. And so definitely learning from that and understanding how helpful it's been for me to have that and to be the person who can now pass that on to other people, because it really does just make such a big difference. And yeah, can energize the team, can like give the information to the team. It's so helpful. And And then I think I had something else to say, but I'm forgetting. Did that answer your question?
It answered my question perfectly.
Okay.
I have loved hearing from you and getting to know you a little bit better. And it makes me so happy when people like you have success. Like, you just seem like somebody who is so willing and eager to learn, but is so quick to kind of turn that around and give it back. And like, yes, you're absorbing, and yes, you're still a young player, but you've so clearly been able to also be a leader and also help those around you and expect and demand a lot from them. And seeing somebody like you really coming up through the national team, and I know you're going to have so much success with Angel City. It just makes me really, really happy. So I'm a huge fan. I'm really excited for you, and good luck this season with Angel City.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam, for having me. And it was so much fun getting to know you a little bit better and getting to talk with you.
I know I told you like so many stories. You're like, okay.
No, I love it. I love it. We can all relate to each other's stories. It's great.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Emily. This was so fun. Okay, I know I say this all the time, but I love Emily Sams. I actually really did feel like our careers had so many similarities, and I'm so excited to see her continue to push herself to be the best player she can be. Emily just seems so grounded, and like she's really setting herself up to be a leader wherever she is. Also, her husband sounds like kind of a hero, so I'm obsessed with them. Before we let you all go, we've got our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. Each week, we want to hear from you, so call and leave us a voicemail at 855-611-4050, and you could be featured on a future episode of Friendlies. Here's our caller this week.
Hi, Sam. This is Kat calling from Honolulu, Hawaii, where there are beautiful beaches, stunning weather, but no NWSL team. I do feel, though, it allows me a bit more freedom to cheer for whichever team captures my heart during the game. My question is about team bonding. Croy mentioned in her interview missing a spirit team bonding event because of her move. And it had me wondering, what is team bonding like for an NWSL team? Who plans it? What are the most common activities? How often do they happen? Thank you, and happy start to the season from this Hawaii hot dog.
Okay, Hawaii hot dog is not a phrase I ever knew I needed to hear, but now you hold a special place in my heart, Kat. Thank you so much for the question. And there are actually like a million different answers. Sometimes the team will organize team bonding and it can be really fun, like a big dinner out that's paid for by somebody else, or a cool outing. Like once with the U.S. Women's National Team, I went to a Rolling Stones concert. Literally, like, what? It was crazy and so cool. But then sometimes the players will organize it themselves. It could just be like going to coffee in a big group, or even something more formal with the whole team, like inviting everyone over to your house for a potluck or something. There are also like some not so fun ones. Sometimes when team bonding is forced, it feels kind of lame. And I've definitely gotten made fun of for being like too interested in forced team bonding. We're going to have to tell that story again next time Rose Lavelle comes on the pod. But I loved this question so much, Kat. So thank you so much for calling in. That was our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. If you want to join us for this segment, the banana phone is always open. Just give us a call, 855-611-4050. Leave a message, ask a question, and you could be the next featured listener. Thanks to our friends at Verizon. Okay, everyone, that's it for this week. Fill out your bracket, subscribe to this feed, make sure you're following along on social media. That's all you need to do. You can also check out our newsletter, which is, may I say, new and improved. It gets delivered to your inbox every Tuesday with all the news you need to know. You'll find the link to sign up for that in the link tree in our social media bio. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.